The New York Islanders are on the hunt. No Noah Dobson. No Mike Riley. Enter Tony DeAngelo, signed a few days ago, and Scott Perunovich. We have ourselves a trade here between the Islanders and the Blues. Scott Perunovich to New York in exchange for a 2026 conditional 5th round pick. Now, this is not a huge trade. It's really not. But the name Scott Perunovich, as some of the replies go out there and talk about, hey, guess what? This guy was a top prospect in St. Louis. Blues got fleeced. Great trade for the Islanders. Okay. I don't think we've seen a bigger trade this month. I agree. Let's go out there and talk about Scott Perunovich, the defenseman, before we dive into the story as to why he's getting traded here. Islanders acquire Perunovich from St. Louis. They've done this in exchange for a conditional 5th round pick. Now, I think the way these articles are formulated on the NHL team's PR pages, we should get ourselves the conditions, right? What are the conditions? Okay, we don't have the conditions here in the article. Thanks, New York Islanders PR team. All they say here is that the Islanders have acquired defenseman Scott Perunovich from the Blues in exchange for a conditional 5th round pick in the 2026 NHL Entry Draft. So it's not even in the upcoming draft, it's the one after. Perunovich, 26 years old, has played in 24 games this season and recorded 6 points, 2 goals, and 4 assists. He has played in 97 career games with the Blues, scoring 29 points, 2 goals, and 27 assists. The Hibbing, Minnesota native has also played in 7 postseason games with St. Louis, recording 4 assists. The Blues selected Perunovich in the second round, 45th overall of the 2018 draft. He has scored 42 points in 39 career... Okay, we can actually look at all of this in the Elite Prospects page. But yes, he was a Hobey Baker winner back in 2020. During that season, his final with the Bulldogs, Perunovich averaged over a point per game with 40 points in 34 games played. That, I think, is always going to stand out when you think about Scott Perunovich and the profile that he brings as an NHL prospect. And I loosely say prospect because back in 2020, yeah, he was a prospect playing for the Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs, but he was a really good player and he was the best player in the NCAA. You go over to the 2019 season, best offensive defenseman in the NCHC, first all-star team in the NCHC, player of the year in the NCHC, scoring champion, 3 Stars Award, first team, first All-American team, Hobey Baker Award, and a finalist, and he also got the USA Hockey College Player of the Year Award. Who else has won the Hobey Baker as of late? There have been a bunch of really good names. I mean, Celebrini, Fantilli, you love to see these guys go out there. Cole Caulfield, Cale Makar. Perunovich is sandwiched in between 2 really great players in Caulfield and Makar to win this Hobey Baker award. So obviously, Scott Perunovich put himself in a pretty good tier of prospect back when he had this season. And for good reason as well. It's unfortunate, but I think because he was sandwiched in between just some really top-tier players, it kind of got lumped into that conversation with them too. It's kind of unfortunate, but that's just how it goes when it comes to talking about prospects. Perunovich was on the St. Louis Blues the year after, but he didn't play any games. This was the weird 56-game campaign where you had, like, taxi squads and black aces where guys were on the team but not actually like playing because they needed to carry more players than appropriate. A lot of AHL development got screwed over in this 2020 season because of that. So Perunovich didn't play his first NHL game until 2021-2022. 6 points, 19 games. He was over a point per game in the AHL though. So this is where the Blues were like, okay, we have a guy, he's offensively gifted, he's doing good work, he had 4 points in 7 games in the playoffs, which is great for a rookie defenseman. Back in that time frame, he was 23 years old, poised to doing great things. But the year after, he did not end up making the St. Louis Blues. He had 22 games and 20 points, which is great. He even suited up for Team USA at the World Championships, 8 points in 10 games. But there was a lot of conversation around this time saying, hey, What are the Blues going to do with Perunovich? This is an offensively talented guy. He needs his reps. He needs to play in the NHL. He's already, at this time frame, he was 24 years old. So it was like, yeah, the time is now. My time is up. Your time is now. This is the guy who's going to come in here and help offensively in St. Louis. But the season after, he had 17 points in 54 games, was not looking as good as he had in prior years offensively. This season, he only had 6 points in 24 games. And as some of the replies go out there and talk about, this is a player who definitely did experience some sort of a fall from grace in St. Louis. That top reply asks, wasn't he a top prospect with the St. Louis Blues? What happened to him? Well, this is what happened to him. Let's reload the page to get some more replies. The coaching staff would rather play Tal Tucker over him. Meant for international ice surface, not North American game. Always muscled off the puck and unable to clear the crease. He's a liability on the back end, not the biggest body for a defenseman. He's had glimpses of good play, but he's far from consistent. With him lacking size, the skill had to be there. The Blues also have other young prospects who seem to have more upside, not to mention the World Junior players who stood out, like Adam Jiricek and Theo Lindstrom. Injury prone, good at moving the puck, but a small D-man who never shined on the power play when given the opportunity. The Blues also have Parekh, Leddy, Fowler, Falk, and Broberg in the lineup, so there's nowhere really to put him when Krug comes back. Injuries and lack of playing time when healthy by the management. He was supposed to be an offensive defenseman, but he never showed it. Perunovich had some power play time last year and did not score a single goal all year. He is small and a defensive liability. If potential was gasoline, you could drive back and forth from California to New York twice on his potential. Injuries as well, constantly injured, injury prone, made of glass. There are a lot of people going out there and talking about the health status of Scott Perunovich, which we didn't talk about here in this video, but you can see he did miss some time this season. He has missed some time last season. The year before that, only 22 games played. It's partially why he didn't play with the St. Louis Blues. 26 years old, 5'10", 174, so definitely not the biggest dude out there. But as we had said, with Noah Dobson out for a while, week to week, with Tony DeAngelo going into New York, they seem to be in this position where they're saying, hey, we want extra offensive help on our blue line. Perunovich, for a conditional 5th-round pick of all things, looks like a guy who's going to be able to provide that, assuming he's healthy and assuming he's getting his confidence back. So ultimately, this seems like a trade where, I get it, you can say, oh, like the Islanders fleece the Blues, the big fleecing here by New York, oh, sorry, sucks to suck, St. Louis, but at the same time, there is a reason why the Blues are giving up on this guy. It's just unfortunate because it's like, hey, if you traded this dude 3 years ago, you traded him 4 years ago after he came off of that Hobie Baker winning year, you would have gotten a lot more for him. Like, that's just how it is. Perunovich was a 2nd-round guy, and you turned that 2nd-round pick into a 6th-round pick, what, like 6 years later? No, 2018 to 2026, I am stupid, 8 years later. Yeah. Like, okay, 2nd-round pick to a 5th-round pick 8 years later, with some hype in there and with some potential, but with not the best resume. So, Scott Perunovich, definitely not a guy who exhibits the same sort of flair as he had 4 years ago, 5 years ago, but still, he's a guy that has potential. We'll see what the New York Islanders are able to do with him. Was this really a fleecing? I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did the Islanders just fleece St. Louis? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments section. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.